Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite Deputy Prime Minister Mr. Cevdet Yılmaz to listen his remarks.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished representatives of business community, before starting my speech, I would like to express our deep sadness about what has happened in Paris. We express our condolences to the French people, and once again, as Turkey, as a country, unfortunately, that has a lot of experience, bad experience about terrorism, we once again call all international parties, communities to cooperate against terror. We consider this terrorist attack not targeting just the French people, but all of us, all humanity, and so we have to respond collectively. We should also be very careful about what these terrorist organizations are trying to do. We should carefully understand their motivations. They are trying to divide us. They are trying to create clashes between different cultures, different geographies, different sections of society. And we should very carefully understand this and act just opposite. We should come together more, and we should understand each other. We should close the gaps and build bridges between different cultures and geographies to fight against these terrorist intentions. Once again, our deep sorrows and condolences to the French people. Distinguished delegates, at the outset of my remarks, I would like to warmly welcome you all to Antalya, a city called by many as the beautiful Turkish Riviera, and express my appreciation for attending the B20 summit today. I firmly believe that this final gathering under the Turkish G20 presidency will complete our year-long hard work, serving as a valuable opportunity to exchange views on globally important issues and G20 agenda, and strengthening interactions between the G20 and B20. I also cannot let this moment pass without expressing my appreciation to the B20 Turkey for organizing this event. Even the organization of this hall shows their ownership, their commitment to the work. I thank you, Rıfat Sarcıklıoğlu and the whole team. Dear guests, as well known, on Sunday and Monday, leaders of the G20 members and invited countries representing around 85% of the global economy, more than 3/4 of global trade, and 2/3 of the world population will meet here to discuss the progress on the G20 agenda. Global economic developments and future prospects will be evaluated. High-level representatives from the international institutions will also join these meetings and enrich the discussions by reflecting their institutions' expertise and views on the G20 agenda items. 2015 has been a hectic and weary year for the global economy, but at the same time, it was a very fruitful one under the helm of the G20. Almost 12 months has passed since we took over the presidency, and we are rapidly approaching the end of our term. We are delighted to see that the G20 has made a significant progress regarding the priorities we have declared at the beginning of the year. Hopefully, our year-long efforts to devise collective actions towards inclusive and robust growth to raise the prosperity of our people will culminate with the conclusion of the Antalya summit. Distinguished representatives, The negotiations and decisions of the G20 platform have a strong reflection on the global economy and are closely followed by the world. As the G20 presidency, we attached high importance to outreach efforts to reach various stakeholders like non-G20 countries, international organizations, and civil society. We exerted our utmost effort to fulfill our obligations as the G20 chair on the outreach with relevant parties. Engagement with the business community constituted a notable weight of our outreach activities. Our work under the G20 roof has considerable effects on the business world, a key stakeholder for the governments to keep our economies running. The G20 governments represent only one side of the picture. We cannot attain our goals to elevate prosperity around the globe without your active participation. Hence, it is critical that business community maintain and even strengthen its voice in the ongoing discussions. The business community has an important responsibility and a key role in ensuring that governments implement policies that support long-term sustainable economic growth. Consistent with this motivation, since the establishment of the B20 in 2010, the private sector has been playing a vital role by providing substantive policy recommendations to the governments through the G20. This year, B20 has served a more critical function for us, the Turkish G20 presidency. Throughout the year, the B20 served as a window which provides an indispensable channel of communication and consultation with the representatives of companies, chambers, business organizations, and civil society. Since the first day we took the G20 presidency, B20 Turkey put forward a tremendous effort and organized various meetings in different parts of the world to ensure inclusiveness of the discussions. This has been widely supported and appreciated by our presidency. Esteemed guests, B20's year-long marathon under the Turkish presidency has been summarized in a report outlining the recommendations to the G20 leaders on very important issues. Mr. Hisarcıklıoğlu himself has summarized these issues. Having thoroughly examined the proposals, I can confidently state that the B20 has successfully met our high expectations about the envisaged contributions of the business community to the key pillars of our agenda. As you all know very well by now, we have determined our motto for this year as collective action for inclusive and robust growth, and simplified our priorities as 3 I's of implementation, investment, and inclusiveness. I am very glad to see that your recommendations are very much in line with our priorities, and we have already made a notable progress in meeting the expectations of the business sector this year. Being on the same page with our business community is especially critical for us, as it shows that our message on the challenges of the global economy has been well received and that we will work together in harmony. Now let me spend a few minutes on the specifics of some of your recommendations. With regard to the implementation facet of the recommendations, I think we have achieved quite significant progress under our leadership. Regarding the completion of the financial regulatory reform agenda, as you have followed, we have finalized the common international standard on total loss absorbing capacity, TLAC, for global systemically important banks, and agreed to the first version of robust higher loss absorbency requirements for globally systemically important insurers. This is really a big step in international financial regulation. Regarding the regulatory consistency, we will continue to monitor the impact of our actions and decisions to ensure the robustness of the global regulatory framework. We will also continue to monitor and address emerging risks and vulnerabilities in the financial system. One of the most important achievements of our presidency this year was successful completion of the base erosion and profit shifting projects, BEPS. Also on beneficial ownership, we have prepared our implementation plans and continue our efforts in this regard. Regarding the emphasis on correcting imbalances, our major contribution has been on the development of ambitious country-specific investment strategies. We have over 300 commitments on the areas of improving investment ecosystem, fostering efficient and quality infrastructure, and supporting small and medium-sized enterprises. Preliminary analysis shows that these strategies would contribute significantly to boosting our investments. We also had extensive work on development of infrastructure as an asset class, including through developing toolkits for countries to better prepare, prioritize, and finance infrastructure projects. We had extensive work under our inclusiveness agenda, and I am of the firm view that our actions this year successfully respond to the recommendations of B20. As a cross-cutting point, we placed a substantial emphasis on the SMEs, reflecting the domestic aspect of our inclusiveness focus. In this regard, we have placed a special focus on promoting long-term financing for SMEs. G20 members' investment strategies contained specific measures to address the problems SMEs have been facing. The World SME Forum was established by the International Chambers of Commerce, ICC, and the Union of Chambers of Commerce and Industry of Turkey, TOBB, to serve as a crucial global advocacy body for the SMEs. This is one of the important achievements under our presidency, and we are very happy to see this achievement. I thank ICC and TOBB for this important achievement. G20 finance ministers and central bank governors meeting officially welcomed establishment of this SME forum. Female and youth unemployment has been another important area that we focused on as part of our inclusiveness emphasis, building on the commitment of G20 leaders to reduce gender labor force participation gap by 20% by 2025. We continued our efforts to enhance female participation and introduced a new target of 15% reduction by 2025 of the share of young people who are most at risk of being permanently left behind in the labor market. These two measurable objectives are very critical. One is for women, the other one is for young people, and they are very critical for our inclusiveness agenda. It is important to have such measurable objectives because otherwise you cannot monitor them and you cannot have an accountability framework for our objectives. We also focused on promoting quality jobs in line with our G20 framework on promoting quality jobs and on improving and investing in skills through our G20 skills strategy, a novelty by Turkish presidency brought to the platform this year. Skills are very important. It is important to have, on the one hand, the demand from the business community about the labor force, and also the quality of labor force being in harmony with this demand. In addition to these issues, there are also quite high number of deliverables and notable outcomes achieved during our stewardship of the G20, and most of this successfully dovetail with the B20 recommendations. Distinguished participants, throughout this year, B20 has consulted and conveyed its messages to G20 finance ministers and central bank governors on several occasions. But this summit will serve as a conducive platform for global business leaders representing a wide array of sectors to elaborate on these priorities and convey their recommendations to the G20 leaders. Tomorrow morning, you will have the opportunity to directly engage with the G20 leaders on the most important macroeconomic and social policy challenges. I am sure that G20 leaders will carefully listen and take on board crucial recommendations put forward by the B20, both through the communiqué, but more importantly through the respective policy agendas. In finalizing my words, I would like to express my deep appreciation once again to the B20 Turkey for organizing this event, which I personally consider as highly crucial for the G20's outreach, and also thank all our guests coming from many countries around the world. I also like to seize this opportunity to thank all contributors of the B20 recommendations to the G20 for their efforts throughout the year. And again, personally, I would like to thank Rıfat Hisarcıklıoğlu and also Muhtar Kent. That was again a novelty in our presidency, this IBEC group, International Business Advisory Council, and they have done a great job as well. I thank you all, and I wish you an enjoyable and very productive time in Antalya. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the speech, for the remarks. Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Cevdet.